He never expected a simple sandwich to change his life, but that's exactly what happened when a struggling single dad named Mark stopped to help a woman stranded on a lonely roadside. What began as a small act of kindness turned into something that would rewrite his future forever. It was one of those cold, quiet evenings when the world seemed too heavy. Mark, a single father of a little girl named Emma, worked long hours at a small auto shop. Money was tight, the rent was overdue, and his hands always smelled of oil and metal. Still, he never complained he couldn't afford to. His daughter's laughter was his only reason to keep going. Every day, he reminded himself that as long as she smiled, everything was worth it. That evening, as he was driving home in his old pickup truck, headlights flickered on the side of the road. A woman stood beside a sleek black car, the hood up and frustration written all over her face. Mark slowed down, his tired eyes catching her waving hand. He could have kept driving, after all, he was exhausted and hungry, but something inside him said stop. Hey, need some help? He asked, stepping out into the chilly wind. She turned, looking relieved. Oh, thank God. My car just died. I have no idea what's wrong. I've been here for over an hour. Mark popped the hood and glanced inside. Battery's fine. Looks like a loose belt. I can fix it, but it'll take a few minutes. I'd really appreciate that, she said softly. Her name was Lisa, and she looked like someone who'd never had to wait by the roadside before. Expensive coat, polished shoes, gentle perfume. Still, she was kind. Mark got to work, his hands moving with practiced skill. The cold bit at his fingers, and the growl in his stomach reminded him he hadn't eaten all day. Lisa noticed him shiver and offered him something from a paper bag on her front seat. It's just a sandwich, she said. Please, take it. You're helping me out of nowhere. Mark hesitated but smiled. Thank you. I won't say no to that. He fixed her car within 20 minutes. When the engine finally came to life, Lisa clapped her hands in relief. You're a lifesaver. How much do I owe you? Mark shook his head. Nothing. Just glad I could help. Lisa frowned. At least let me pay you for your time. He smiled tiredly, shaking his head again. I didn't do it for money, ma'am. I did it because it's the right thing to do. She looked at him for a moment, the sincerity in his voice, the humility in his eyes. Then she said, well, thank you. That sandwich wasn't nearly enough. He chuckled softly. Actually, it meant a lot. Mark drove away that night, never expecting to see her again. But the next day, his world began to shift in ways he couldn't imagine. The next morning, Mark arrived at the auto shop, his boss waiting with folded arms. Mark, I've got bad news. We're closing down next week. The bills are killing us. Mark's heart sank. This job was his only lifeline. Without it, he didn't know how he'd feed Emma or pay rent. He spent the whole day in silence, forcing smiles for his daughter when he picked her up from school. Later that evening, as he sat in their small kitchen, there was a knock at the door. When he opened it, he froze. Lisa stood there, holding a folder and smiling warmly. I hope I'm not intruding, she said. Not at all. Please, come in, Mark stammered, confused. She looked around the small home, worn furniture, an old heater, children's drawings on the fridge. I realized I never really thanked you properly, she began. And after you helped me yesterday, I couldn't stop thinking about what you said, doing the right thing. Mark smiled awkwardly. It's nothing, really. Just part of being human. Lisa opened the folder and slid a document across the table. Actually, it's something. I own a chain of auto repair centers. I came by to offer you a job as a lead mechanic. Full benefits, steady pay, and a bonus for your honesty. Mark blinked, speechless. Wait, you're serious? She nodded. Yesterday, you could have taken advantage of me. You didn't. You helped a stranger for nothing in return. That's the kind of person I want in my company. Tears welled in his eyes. He tried to speak, but his voice broke. You don't know what this means for me and my daughter. Lisa smiled gently. Actually, I do. Sometimes the smallest kindness deserves the biggest return. A week later, Mark started his new job. He wore a fresh uniform, his name stitched proudly on the chest. The shop was clean, bright, and filled with opportunity. For the first time in years, he felt hope rising in his chest. One afternoon, as he picked Emma up from school, she ran into his arms. "Daddy! You're smiling again." He hugged her tightly. "Yeah, baby. I think things are going to get better now." Lisa became more than just his boss, she became a friend. Someone who reminded him that life had a strange way of rewarding goodness, even when you least expect it. Months passed, and Mark's hard work didn't go unnoticed. He was promoted to manage one of the company's biggest shops. He could finally afford a small house with a yard for Emma to play in. Every time he looked at her laughter under the sun, he remembered that cold night and one simple sandwich that changed everything. Sometimes, it's not grand gestures that transform a life. It's the small, genuine acts of kindness that ripple through the world, the kind that start with a tired mechanic, a stranger in need, and a sandwich shared in gratitude, because fate has a beautiful way of finding those who give without expecting anything in return.